Alright, I'm here with my 2013 Carrera 2 Cabriolet. So this is a new car to the channel. I'm going to drive this for a while, enjoy it, and probably turn it into another car when prices kind of level out a little bit. But while I own this car, I do want to make it mine without going too crazy. One thing I did right off the bat is I added a radar detector. I hardwired that in. And you know, I run Waze and a radar detector, so that was something I did quickly. I didn't make a video. There's a lot of information about that on the web. You can find a YouTube video of that. But the things I will be adding that might make sense to bring the camera along would be modifying the head unit to accept Apple CarPlay. So these cars stock come with the PCM 3.1 head unit, and they really feel dated. They have some features you'd expect for 2013. I mean, it's got nav and Bluetooth and aux input, things like that. And it's integrated in the car pretty well. This has the steering wheel controls. But without CarPlay, honestly, it just feels dated. And the interface, the UI looks kind of old. The nav doesn't work great. So adding CarPlay to this will make a big difference and really feel like a later model car. So that's going to happen. And I'll do that in this video. And while I do that, I'll be adding a Reinstalling phone mount. So this car does not have a great place for your phone. If you look here, I've got to mount this easy pass, but yeah, so there really isn't a good place now. I use that magnetic mount temporarily, and it doesn't hold the phone at the right angle, and so you can imagine like not running Waze on the screen, having to do it on my phone. It's not angled right. That, you know, it's just not a good setup. I use the same thing I did in the 996 with this radar detector. I used the adhesive mount and just hardwired into the lights instead of the mirror. It's pretty easy. Yeah, so the Reinstalling mount like bolts behind the trim panel there. It might interfere with the cup holder. We're gonna have to see how that works out, but anyhow, I'm gonna be doing that while everything's apart. And then I want to add a backup camera. Okay, so that'll go right above the rear license plate here, and I'll have to take the bumper cover off, drill a hole, run the wiring up through the car up to the head unit, and that gets attached to the wiring loom for the new Apple CarPlay unit. Yeah, and I've noticed with this car there's much less visibility than the 996. You know, it's probably because it's a cab. I think the back of the top kind of comes up into toward the driver more, so there's less visibility when you're looking over your shoulder. Plus the rear window is definitely smaller as well. So the camera is going to be a really good addition to this car. So anyway, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you all the parts that I bought, and we'll start that install. Let's go get some equipment and tools. All right, we got the top down, windows down. It's going to make things a lot easier to work inside the car. So let's get the camera in position. All right, so what we got to do is remove this trim panel here and this trim panel here, and then we can get at the fasteners that are holding in the head unit. And then I'm going to pull the head unit out, but I also have to hold it here, especially after I get things connected to test. So of course the shifter's in the way, but I think what I'll do is I'll remove the shift knob. The shaft will be lower. Maybe I can put a box over it, and that way I can just kind of slide things and put it on top of the box. So All right, so let's see if we can get this shift knob off. Have not worked on a 991 in any way. So let's look to see what we're gonna do here. All right, so you want to lift the boot up, and supposedly I grab this and turn it 90 degrees like that, and it kind of makes that sound, and then the shift knob should pull up. But it's probably been on here 10 years, so it's probably not going to be easy. Okay, not terrible. The shaft is almost the same size as the knob, but it'll still be a little easier to put something over it, and it'll be a platform. Alright, so supposedly there's some fasteners along here. You pop these, start in the back, and then pull this way. Now, looking online, I did see one lined up right about here, another one lined up right about here, because I used these lines as references. So if I use that spacing, we're going to end up just about right. So let me grab my trim tool. Alright, so now we've got all these released. This one, as far as I know, you just kind of pull that way. Let's see what happens here. Let's try pulling that down. I want to make sure you guys can see that. Alright, easy enough. You do the other side. I won't bore you with those details. Alright, look at this nifty little box. So this kind of fits right in there and gives you a pretty level platform. So I think that's going to work pretty well. Let's see if I have the right size Torx here. No, that's too big. And that's too big. Alright, be right back. Okay, turns out it's a T25. And let's start this. Alright, let's see if we've got enough cable to reach out here. Oh, this looks heavy. Alright, so hopefully you guys can see these connections here. This cable is the one that prevents me from pulling this out a little further. So let's see if we can remove this first. So you want to pinch this, and this lever comes out like that. Alright, let's see if that buys me a little more room. Not really. Okay. Now I've got 5 more of these that I've got to disconnect. And these, I'm not going to be able to do this with my finger, but you need to push down from the top to pinch that downward, and then you can pull out. It's a little awkward holding this. Let's see if I can do it this way. Alright, let's see what we could do here. There. I can verify it went down. It's not sliding out though. There it goes. Okay, that one, I don't know if you can see that. That pushes down nice and easy. This one looks like a beefier connector though. Okay, so we've got the PCM on the bench here, and we've got our CarPlay unit called Mr12volt. Okay, that's scary that they would name the company Mr12volt. It does not instill a lot of confidence, yet these things are getting really good reviews, so bear with me here. So supposedly there's probably 4, 5, 6 companies that do CarPlay in kind of the same manner, where you modify your PCM and it'll allow you to use Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. Most of them use a cable, right? So not unlike a lot of cars from a few years ago, where even a lot of current cars, you still need a cable input for CarPlay. But this unit has wireless CarPlay, so there's not as many solutions for us that do wireless, maybe only 2 or 3. So this is one of those. But the biggest claim to fame for this unit is that it preserves a digital signal from beginning to end. So it takes your sound and goes right onto the optical bus, the most bus in our Porsches. So you're not getting this digital to analog conversion and then back and forth. You're getting one less conversion, which I believe is the best way to preserve the sound quality. And that's what this thing is, its claim to fame, is that it's got the best sound quality. So the way it works is, and just my experience with the PCM, the sound quality on this thing is not great on most inputs. The tuners are not good, Sirius XM, but you find this in almost every car. You know, the quality is not as good on the tuners, but the aux input on this is not good. And what's the other one? Bluetooth, it sounds okay, but no better than aux input. It's pretty average. But here's the thing on this. If you use the iPod input, and yes, I did say iPod because this actually says iPod on it, which is frustrating. It's like just dates it so badly. But if you use the iPod input, then it requires you to use a lightning cable, and that sound quality is actually pretty good. Definitely a big difference between that and the other inputs. And I think that's the same thing. You're keeping the signal digital from your phone through the bus, and then it does, like, it's got to go analog before it gets to your amp and speakers. But I think that's it, you know. So what this device does is it creates its own input called TV. Now that functionality is built into this out of the factory, but most people don't opt for that. And in a 911, I don't even think that's available. I mean, if it is, I've never even heard of it. So the functionality is here, but it's not used. This device pretty much unlocks it, or, you know, allows you to use the TV input that's built into this, and those signals stay digital. So the CarPlay broadcast from your phone, all of the sound from your phone will go right onto the bus and stay digital. The other thing is, this has got a 15-band equalizer, so it's a DSP, so you can do all of your sound shaping and tone modifications through this device. And the UI allows you to, you know, it's like a graphic equalizer, but it's a digital sound processing. So you're doing that before it goes through the bus, which is pretty cool. So that's this thing's claim to fame, is the sound quality. It's supposed to be better than any of the other ones out there. And I think it's the only one that puts it out on a TV, on the TV input, and that's what allows you to, you know, allows them to keep it digital. So that's about it. Now let me just show you. So this packaging is kind of weird, right? It kind of looks like they're trying to be like an Apple phone or something. It's kind of like they spent some money on this packaging. Now I took the inserts out, but they really had it packaged well with like this box on top with foam around it. I didn't want to put it back together, but it was pretty impressive. And it kind of surprised me that they would spend the money on this type of packaging. All of this stuff, these cables, like anti-static bag, all of the bags are like heavy duty. These cables seem really beefy and well done. The heat shrink tubing, the wraps, conductor size, everything is, it seems like pretty good quality. And then here's the box that has the functionality to put your phone CarPlay into the PCM. So this has to get hidden or tucked away somewhere in the car. There's going to be a lot of cables, so we're going to go over the installation. But for right now, we need to open this up, and we're going to install this printed circuit board. And we've got ribbon cables we need to deal with, so, but let's start that now. I'm going to go grab a few tools to open this up. Okay, we're ready to open this thing up. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Torx T8 screws that need to be removed. And then I know the instructions I've seen online is that you have to remove the plate that's here, and then you're bringing a cable in. But in this case, I've got the Sirius XM board in here, so not quite sure what to do about that. I don't know if they've addressed that, but let's get this thing open and we'll figure it out. Alright, so you've got a couple places to grab hold of. And let's see if we go like this. Okay, after trying to slide it back and it won't slide, took a closer look at this. And if you notice, there's a tab here and a tab here. If you push that in, it kind of releases. This side's still being a little stubborn. Okay, those taps really make a big difference. Alright, so once you get it out from this point, you can basically separate it like this, okay? Alright, before we mount the printed circuit board in here, we talked about how the cable from the Mr12volt has to go through here. If you didn't have Sirius XM, this would just be a hole with this plate over it. Now, I could just remove the screw, pull this out, and just leave it dangling, make my antenna connection. It doesn't have to be fastened to the chassis. That way I could still use the hole. But I think I'm just going to remove the Sirius XM board, because it's a weekend car. I'm not going to subscribe to Sirius XM on this car. I have other subscriptions, and I can use my app if I want, which would probably sound better because it'll go through the CarPlay system. This tuner does not sound good. I have Sirius XM and played the demo channel, and it doesn't sound good. So I don't think it makes any sense to keep this. I'll free up that space, and we can always add it back if I need it or go to sell the car. Okay, before we try to mount that circuit board in, I want to remove this piece. So I want to release this ribbon cable here. Now, I really don't have fingernails, and there's not a lot to grab there without fingernails. So I think I'm going to use a tool to just pry up that connector. Okay, so when I got to editing this, I noticed that my hand is blocking the view of the connector in almost every shot. It was really disappointing to see that. And everything was all finished, so I couldn't really go back and show you. So what I did do is go out on Mr12volt's website, and I found one of their videos. Hopefully they have no problem with me showing you this, but basically this is how you want to unlock these ribbon connectors. It's pretty easy. You're just lifting up on those wings. So take a look. Okay, I think from here you guys would be able to see it. So I've just got this little pick tool. Let's see if I can get this under and pry up. Alright, so we've got this removed. Let me get that out of the way. Okay, we want to keep going. We want to remove these two ribbon cables as well. So let's see if we can lift this up. Alright, these are released. Let's look at how we're going to mount this board. Okay, so I tucked these ribbon cables up out of the way. They give you two new ribbon cables, so those have to get installed here. So let me do that now. Alright, so you're going to use blue facing you, just like we did when we took those off. The blue was facing us. Now you can kind of just feel this thing slip down until it seats, and then you want to lock by pushing down on these wings here. I tend to really be gentle with these connectors. I haven't had good luck with some of them. These seem beefier than ones that I've used in the past, but I'd rather just take my time, go slow. Okay, so same thing. So you should be able to feel it seat. And I wouldn't try to lock this down until you kind of feel that. So if you don't feel it on the first shot, remove it. Here, I just felt it come down. So it just kind of drops down and seats. And then, again, let's just kind of gently work this thing down. Okay, so those are in. Okay, we're back. Let's see. So I've got all the fasteners out. Let's see how this board comes up. Alright, so we're going to want to remove this connector. We've seen these in the car. Alright, let's get this out. Alright guys, so this will not fit through that hole. So what I have to do is take apart this connector. The way to do that is this pink comes out. That pink plastic retains the metal antenna jack into this yellow connector. Alright, just kind of get my pick tool in there, and maybe I can get a screwdriver now. Shouldn't be this hard, right guys? Okay, this is out. Okay, let's keep going. Alright, we've got everything removed. We've got the ribbon cables in. Let's put the board in. Okay, the board's in. Let's go through the same routine here. Okay, that's set pretty good. Let's do this one. It's open. Okay, we've got all the cables back in. This ribbon cable is still pretty high, so I'll have to watch out for that when I put the top on. Alright, we've got all the tie wraps done, ready to put the cable in. Let's do that. Got my tie wrap ready to secure this. Alright, looks like it bottomed out there. Just want to get a shot of this. I'm going to put another tie wrap here. Alright, so let me tighten that. Alright, so we've got one there, and we're ready to button this up. Okay, so we had to put the ribbon cable back on, which was very straightforward. And let me just show you. So now we've got this kind of in the same position. We're going to slide it, but I don't know if you can see the ribbon cable right here. It's what I can do is kind of press on it and push it in that direction to keep it lower, because it is coming in contact. But all right, these things, these little wings look like that. That got bent a little. Alright, so as you slide this, you want to make sure that wing goes in there, both sides. And I'm just kind of pushing this against me as I'm sliding it. Alright, you can see that aligns now. So it's a matter of putting the screws back in here. Okay, before we get in the car, I want to do this here at the bench. It's a little easier. So this is one of the cables that are included. This is an optical cable, and you've got one connection here that kind of breaks off into two, and that's a female, that's a male. So what you want to do is you've got to remove the optical cable from this housing here. Okay, so if you look, there's a lever right here. I can flex it outward. When you flex it outward, and you keep it outward, then the cable comes out. Okay, now the cable is going to go into one of the wiring looms that's included in the kit that gets connected to the OEM loom. This actually goes on the OEM optical cable and then connects into this other piece here. So we can see all this in the car, but I wanted to at least remove this out here where we could show it. All right, let's move to the car now. All right, we're back in the car, and I'm going to try to be more conscious of your view because I think I've been blocking your view. But, okay, here's the OEM loom, right? Now, we have to remove this. These are the optical cables, and this removes in the same way that we just did that other cable. So I've got to find that little lever, I've got to spread it out, and then pull on the cable. So let me see if I can do that. I don't know if you're going to see it from there, but you already saw it a couple minutes ago, so it shouldn't be difficult for you. Okay. All right, so here's the optical, and what we're going to do is we're going to take this housing that we just removed and we're going to put it on here. All right, it's going to snap. All right, and then this male that we removed from the housing right here is going to go into this loop. All right, now we're already getting a lot of cables and stuff, so I'm gonna start to try to tuck this. And my plan is, you can see inside here, once you get to the back, you can go that way, right? And the cables will pull out from underneath here. And I'm gonna show you that. I'll remove the camera from the tripod and kind of show you where the blue box is going to go from Mr12volt. Okay, so now we're at the point we want to take our big loom from the kit and put it on the OEM wiring. So we want to connect to this. This is all female, and if you look on this, you've got two sides. That's male, female. So we're going to use this. But before you do, make sure this connector lever is open, right? So right now, that would not go in until, there it goes, see? So you want to make sure that's fully open. And let's connect up our cable here. And then we lock with the lever. Okay, so now we've got this, and you know, it's going to start to get a little bit busy here with all this wiring. Okay, before we start routing some wires back there, let's finish this off because we still have to take this optical and put it in this connector from the kit. And that goes on the outside here. And it's going to snap, and that lever holds it in. Okay, I've got the PCM back in the car, but we haven't done any connections yet. We haven't even routed any wires from the PCM. I did upgrade my box. The other one was a little flimsy, so that one's holding it much better. I just want to show you that I did route the wires from the kit loom underneath the steering wheel here. So we've got all our wires here. The optical also ends up here. Now I just taped it temporarily to this cable because the optical is kind of thick and, you know, has like memory of being wound. It's trying to just retract back in. So you may want to do that, otherwise it'll go back in and you'll have to fish it out again. So all right, so the next step is we're going to take these two wires that are from that cable that we mounted, that we connected to the PCB board that we installed. These two wires are going to get routed in the same place. Okay, so let me get in the car and do that, and then I'll be back. Okay, so the PCM is all connected, and these wires that are routed under the steering, you have to make a connection here. Before we do the box, we've got this wire. This comes from the head unit, and then this is the kit, part of the kit cable. So make that connection there. So we're going to connect this up, and then we have the microphone, which also has to get connected, but we're just checking functionality. So let's connect what we need to here. This is this big wide connector on the kit cable here. So now this is that's the optical, I believe. All right, and this has a cap over it, so when it doesn't fit, don't freak out. You're fine. All right, so let's see how to pair the phone. Well, we're going to go to CarPlay. Now you get that message, but this is wireless CarPlay, so it should be broadcasting on my phone via Bluetooth. So let's give it a second and see. And now I see other devices. Mr. 12 volt, blah, blah, blah. Let me select it. Okay, it's got a pairing code. I'm going to say pair on my phone. Allow contacts, favorites, yes. All right, so now it's saying I'm connected. Use CarPlay. I have to say that on my phone, yes. Okay, there's CarPlay. That's a good sign. Trying to test the like Apple Music and it's not working, and I think I may know why. So it never asked me for a Wi-Fi connection, but I'm looking at it and CarPlay _92FO is available. So I just selected it. Now that makes sense because wireless CarPlay does require both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, and it probably thought I was connected to the cable. So, all right, so now let's see if we can play anything. Okay, so that's good. It looks like it's working. Okay, so okay, so I'm confirming that the tuner doesn't work. AM/FM tuner does not work, and obviously Sirius won't because I removed the board. So somebody claimed that online. They said they removed the Sirius XM board and their tuner doesn't work. So that's a little frustrating, honestly. There was no mention of that in any of the documentation or on the website. I mean, I would still obviously like to have it, and kind of frustrated it's not there, but I'm going to continue on because, again, Apple CarPlay is kind of just more important. All right, bear with me here, people, because I may end up having to make a change here. I talked about putting this box down here underneath the steering wheel. There's a little bit of space here, but when you actually go to mount it, you actually find that really there's no way that box is going to get in here from the front, and you absolutely can't do it from the back because there's ductwork, there's an airbag with some steel framing around it. There's really no good place to put it up front under the you know, at the driver's side. I looked online. There's not a lot of info on where people are putting these boxes. One person put it in the center console under the PCM, had to like take a Sawzall to things. But I don't like that idea because I want access to the box and the wiring. I want to add the rear camera. The other thing is there's an SD card slot where you can change the boot up logo, and I want to do that. I don't want to have to rip things apart to get to that. And just even like there's a reset button, you know, what if something glitches? Like to have to take the whole car apart just to reset. So anyway, I want to get the car, I want to mount it in a place where I can get easy access. So one of the ideas now is going underneath behind this rug. There actually is quite a bit of space. I pulled this back. The rug just kind of forms here, and there's a lot of space and wiring and other things behind it. It would easily fit there. So if I could get the wiring from inside the PCM compartment and come out this way, that would be good. But right now you can't. I'm gonna pull this trim panel off right now, and maybe we'll get more room when we do that, because as of right now I can't see how to get the wires over here. But let me do that and we'll come back. Alright, so there's a screw up here that we removed, Torx. I can't tell you the size. It's bigger than the other ones though. All right, so this piece has to go that way from what I understand. Okay, you see it moving here? There, okay. Now, question is, can we get into the area? Oh yeah, I think so. I think we can. I got a lot more space now. Okay, just to show you, this is this goes into that cigarette lighter on this little trim panel, and it was just a matter of pulling it off. I didn't even see a lever. Maybe when I was squishing it to pull it, I might have been on a lever, but came right off. Okay, so now that we have a path to here, and we can go under the trim panel, under the rug, and end up putting the box somewhere here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move all the wiring from that side over to this side. I think it'll be a little trickier, but I can just use like a fish line and just kind of pull it through. So let me start working on that. No need to bring the camera. You know, if you pull this trim panel off, you're gonna see that route right from the PCM area, and you'll see that you can come right in with your cables. All right, you guys are gonna think I'm crazy, but the PCM was still out of the car, and this the idea of not having FM tuner anymore. Sirius, you know, I removed the Sirius board, but it also took out the FM tuner. It didn't sit right with me, so I want to keep the Sirius XM board, but there's a challenge because the standoffs just don't work. What they gave me is too low, so it won't clear this antenna connection. The board actually sits on top of that. So what I did was I had 3 long standoffs and 2 and 1 short. That's what they gave me, 3 long, 1 short. I don't know why, but I cut one of the long so that I could make it into, you know, I took one of the shorts, put it on a long, cut the other long, put it on the long, this long, and now I've got 2 about the same. So I'm just going to stand the board off of 2 standoffs. So it's not going to be as secure, but should be fine. It's just a printed circuit board. Let me see if I can get it in and retain Sirius XM and the FM tuner. Alright, so I'm going to give this a try. This is the standoffs. I used 1 long one here and a long 1.5 here, and that gets it, it's tilted, it's in contact with the antenna right here, that plastic antenna connector, it's sitting on it here, but if you raise this any higher, there's no way to get this on without even touching these connectors. I still don't know if it'll go on, but I'm going to give it a try right now. All right, here's what's going on. You see those ribbon cables? This whole piece is being lifted. It's sitting on the ribbon cable. So do I want to press down and compress everything? Those are the ribbon cables to the PCM. They're not the ones supplied with the kit. It's not like if those things break, I can just call and get some more. So do I want to compress those? Take the risk? No, I don't. Look what I do. There's 4 fasteners that hold this CD drive in there, and I figured without the CD drive, maybe I can clear these ribbon cables. And I don't care about the CD, I care about the tuners a little more. Okay, I just want to show you what I did here. So remember, that's the antenna for Sirius XM. So it's just kind of hanging outside, but it is kind of fastened here. It actually provides some strain relief for this cable too. So, all right, let's see what happens with no CD player, but we have XM board in, and let's see what happens. Okay, that's a good sign. Let's see if my tuners are working. Oh, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. All right, that's good. Let's, for kicks, let's see. Sirius XM. Oh, well, I'm in the garage. Okay, I finally got the PCM back into place, and let me tell you, that was not easy because you've got a lot of cabling and you've got those huge connectors, the big square connectors. So here's a tip. If I can give you any advice, take that big square connector that the Mr12volt cable connects to the OEM loom. Take that and put it all the way to the right. There's like a little area off to the right, and so you're basically holding the PCM with one hand and you've got your other hand in there kind of jamming it to the right, and then try to close it up before it tries to work its way back out of that spot. And also, before I put the fasteners here, I want to put my Reinstalling phone mount, which will go right there. Okay, I just wanted to show you real quick the microphone. I had put the PCM in, finally got it seated, and was happy that it was finally over, and then I realized that the microphone cord, this one here, has not been run over to the other side because I'm going to mount it on the dash. So then I was thinking, oh God, do I have to remove that again? But turns out there's a nice little access area right here under the PCM. So I was able to just, here you can see it, I was able to just put the microphone cord through there and get it to the other side. Alright, so here it is with the rug peeled back. You can see there's a lot of room in here. There's a big control, I don't know what that is, big gauge power coming into it. But we should be able to put the blue box back there and run our wiring over. So let's look at it. Okay, so it's basically just hanging behind the carpet. I just found a place for it, and if I need to replace that blue box because of the microphone issue or make my rear camera connection, it's just easily accessible. Just pull the rug down and it's right there. Alright, we've got the installation all finished, and I've actually had a few days to spend kind of developing my opinions and kind of reflecting on the whole experience. So let me share that with you. First off, I just want to say that microphone issue, that turned out to be user error. Okay, that was my fault. And the reason why is because when you're connected to the Mr12volt wireless CarPlay, like any other wireless CarPlay, your phone is no longer on your Wi-Fi, your home Wi-Fi, and it's connected to the car. And therefore, you get no wireless data through your home Wi-Fi, which means it's got to be through the cell. And in my case, I've got Verizon, and lately our Verizon coverage has been really bad. And now, in the garage where the car is, I get no data through Verizon. I don't know why. Verizon service has kind of been declining. I see it everywhere, not just at home, but it's drastically changed at our house now. So really kind of frustrated with Verizon. But that was the reason, because I would use Siri to test the microphone, and Siri, of course, uses the cloud. So with no connection to the internet, it didn't hear me. So that was that. And other than that, I want to kind of mention maybe some of the negatives first, because I am happy overall with the system, but here's some things to consider. Trying to work out the tech support issue with the microphone. Mr12volt is, on the other side of the world. They don't even have a phone number for US tech support. They want you to use WhatsApp, so you're texting through WhatsApp. It's kind of, not ideal. And the replies take pretty much a day because they're asleep when I'm awake and vice versa. So they were not much help with the tech support on the microphone, and the few things they suggested I had already done, like, you know, almost immediately. So thankfully it wasn't a bigger problem, or I needed parts or anything like that, because who knows how long that would take, and how responsive they would have been. So when I found out what the issue was, I told them, you know, I think that's what it is. I'll be testing it. They haven't responded since, and it's been like a week. So anyway, know that going in. The other thing, here's another negative. When you park your car and you leave, your CarPlay is going to be broadcasting and trying to keep your connection to your phone. All right, so if you're one to just like leave your car unlocked and you walk in the house, your CarPlay, your phone's going to be tied up with the CarPlay. So that's kind of strange, right? It should just time out. It doesn't seem to time out. I haven't really tested it for a long period of time, but it just maintains that contact. And a little bit of info I'm finding is that everyone's like, yeah, you got to lock your car, otherwise it's gonna broadcast, and that drains your battery too. So something to think about. So now I have to get in the habit of, every time I come in, I need to lock my car, and if I don't, my phone is connected to my car whether I like it or not. So something to think about. What else? The other thing was the standoff issue with Sirius XM. They provided 3 standoffs, 2 different sizes. It didn't make any sense. There's no documentation. There's no information on their website. You find out, yeah, use the standoffs if you want to keep Sirius XM, but when you go to use them, it still doesn't raise the board high enough to clear the antenna. So I don't know why they ended up with that solution, because it's not really a solution. So you guys saw what I did. I removed the CD player, and once I did that, I was able to clear the flat ribbon cables, and that was my solution. So again, know this going in. And that's about it for negatives. Okay, so as far as positives, I've been driving the car for a few days. I have to say the CarPlay has been really good. The wireless, there's been no drops in connection. It's maintained a good connection for an hour plus. I had kept this cable, let me show you. The USB cable I routed over here behind the Ren line in case I needed it, thinking I might need to put my lightning cable if the wireless doesn't work well. It works great. So I don't think I need this. So I think I'm going to end up either definitely putting it someplace where you don't see it, or just not using it at all. So that's good, right? Wireless CarPlay works well. And overall, you know, if you look at the price, it was about $400 to $500, you know, say 500. What other solutions are out there for that price? They're pretty much all similar, and the sound quality on this is supposed to be better than all of the others, and I'm very happy with the sound quality. It's really good, and that 15-band equalizer is really useful. You can play around with it and get the kind of sound that you're looking for. You get a lot of flexibility and adjustability, so that's really good. I think the next price tier up is for $1,000. You can get an adapter that will take a third-party head unit and adapt it into your Bose system. So now you're paying $1,000 for that, plus whatever you pay for the head unit. I think the screen would be much better, resolution would be better, the touch, you know, capacitive touch screen. This screen requires a little bit more force when you want to touch things. So you might end up with a slicker system by going that route, but you're going to pay a lot more. And it's not going to look OEM if that's important to you. So yeah, that's about it. Now I'm gonna do another video doing the rear backup camera, and when I do, I'm gonna need to open this up. And I noticed when I was editing, I don't have a shot of that blue box mounted where it is, and so I'm gonna make sure that I cover that when I do the camera install, because I will have to open this up. But just FYI, it's just sitting there behind the rug. It's not fastened. I didn't even use Velcro. You know, it just sits. There's a space there where I just put it, and the rug sits on top of it, and it doesn't move. So if you're doing the install and you can't wait, just pull the rug back. You'll see, it's obvious. But anyway, I will have it opened up when I do that video. I'll finish off the mic and deal with that USB cable. But that's it. So those are my impressions. A little bit of negatives, but overall happy now, especially with the negatives behind me. It's very easy to be happy because everything's working fine. Just remember, lock your car when you're done, otherwise your battery's going to drain. So something to think about. All right, guys, hopefully this video helps, and good luck with your install.